Hey everyone, this is Olay from Laddering Your Success, and you're listening to the LYS Podcast. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Welcome to another Sunday of LYS Free Student Mentoring, here with Olay, my good friend Festus and Olay. Festus, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man, and I love Jazzy's.
Like that bass line in the intro?
Yeah, the
bass line? Yes,
voice
upright.
that you put on, your silky smooth velvet voice.
What you call it? That's how a lot of shows on NPR start.
Oh yeah.
Very, you can tell they have the treble very low and like the whatever creates a more sultry voice. You know, we're here talking about the water crisis. What can we do to fix the water crisis? Cities like Flint, Michigan, and others, among others, have experienced total decay in their infrastructure. We're here with a leading expert from Michigan State University to talk about that. All right, folks. Welcome one, welcome all. We are in the holiday season. A couple more weeks here till we hit the Christmas holidays for teachers, educators, students, and parents. We have one more week before the Christmas break. I'm pretty sure most other places have that as well. And so happy holidays to you and your family. I hope you're enjoying this. I don't know. I feel like it's cold in a lot of other places, not as cold here.
It's sad, isn't it? Yeah.
Man, it's
we don't have that holiday vibe, you know what I'm saying? We 80 degrees all last week. So it's like...
and you know, it's funny because we have so many new people coming into the city, and they're just like, is this it?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be shoveling snow by this time. So I feel like they're kind of happy about it. But like, we're just like, man, at least let me put on. Every day I've had like a hoodie or some sweater ready to go, and I go outside, I'm like, I don't even need it.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%.
All right, so we're going to continue on our conversation from last week. But before we do that, let's go over how you can get in contact with us here at Laddering Your Success at LYS. First thing you can do is, if you are on the Instagram, you can enter your search bar. Just type that in, LYS Students, and _LYS. That's to join our LYS Laddering Your Success accounts and get access to information, motivational posts about our LYS app, which we're going to be talking about here in a couple of seconds. On Facebook, just type in Laddering Your Success into that search bar. You'll get access to every single one of these free mentoring sessions that we offer. Also, a lot of other really useful, pertinent, important information that educators, students, and parents need to have and need to know. On YouTube, Laddering Your Success into the YouTube search bar. Make sure you join and subscribe so you can get updates whenever we post new content on YouTube. On TikTok, LYS Be No Do. Be sure to type that in there to join and subscribe us there on TikTok, so you can also wonderful, really great videos. These videos on TikTok have more to do with the 7 tenets of LYS, more motivational, really great stuff for our young people and for our students and for our educators. If you would like to contact us regarding a speaking engagement, come in to talk to your youth group, your church group, your school. If you have questions about the LYS app and other resources and information regarding LYS, just send us an email at info@ladderingyoursuccess.com. On Discord, for educators, parents, students, mentors, administrators, counselors, just type in Laddering Your Success into that search bar there on Discord to get access to that wonderful, useful information. And you get to actually interact with us, me, Festus, and the entire LYS squad there on Laddering Your Success on Discord. And if you love what we're doing, if you love the fact that every Sunday, no matter what's going on, you know that we're going to be here doing these LYS free student mentoring sessions on Cash App, $ Laddering Your Success. Just type that in there and donate whatever you have. We'd really appreciate it. And of course, the granddaddy of them all, save time with the LYS lesson plan and assignments app. With this app, you can create dynamic, rich, and engaging accommodated lessons and assignments for your students. It saves time on lesson plans. It helps build character and they are aligned with the TEKs created by expert teachers. We literally searched the entire nation looking for great teachers to create these things. You can try it out for free, and you can join in and use that app if you are a 6th to 8th grade teacher teaching social studies, science, language arts. We don't have math yet. We're almost done with math there. Okay. All right. So first question, like I said, I always try to start it off with a question. So Festus, what is your favorite thing about Christmas? What's your favorite thing about the Christmas season, the Christmas holiday?
Yeah, I think, to me, it's not Christmas Day itself, because I think just from a personal standpoint, it's so tainted now from all the commercialism to the arguments about what does it actually have to do with Christ and different types of things like that, and then the paganism and all those different types of things. But I love the season and the holiday time we're spending with family. I think that's the most critically important thing. Excuse me, I don't know what's up with my voice. But I think that's the most critically important thing, is taking the time out to spend with family and friends and just enjoy them, and get off from work, get off from the busyness, and chill. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that's probably the most primary thing to me, is spending time with family, and so hopefully we'll be back out on the field playing catch again, what I'm saying, like you did last week. So,
man, yeah, we got to talk about that. I've been on the injured reserve.
Oh, really?
Wow. Man, my heel, my Achilles is
You're
just
talking
not
about
been.
that. Yeah.
So, I think, in conversations with my mom, I have to do one of them press conferences, like Andre Johnson, with all y'all on my side, one of those emotional press conferences where I'm gonna have to retire, hang them up,
chill out, bro.
Take my cleats, throw them on the
power
light pole. Yeah, just have my cleats hanging there, like Marshawn Lynch did, because
chill out, bro.
I don't know, man. It's not looking too good. But either way, I'm like you, definitely spending time with family. Growing up, my parents did. I have to give them credit. They did a really good job of like creating that atmosphere, right? I still remember my dad for a couple of years would go out and actually buy like an actual Christmas tree, which I thought was pretty cool. And he would do cool things, like he would hide candy in them. And I would always find that kid. Boy, I had a nose for finding that candy, boy. He would always have like Reese's, Snickers, Butterfingers. Boy, I found everything. And he'd be like, "You're always finding the candy. Your brothers, they're not quick when it comes to finding this candy." I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. This is my you can't leave meat in front of a lion and expect him not to eat it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna find this candy. But I love that, recently, just as recently as Friday, I went driving around with my friend, and we went looking, and the lights in the neighborhood. And I didn't realize how some of these houses, how they go in with the lights. They have like whole scenes.
Yeah.
This one house had music playing, and they told you to tune into a radio station. And the lights were in sync with the song on the radio station.
Wow, that's extra. They doing it for real.
I was thoroughly impressed. I was like, I didn't know. I just did not know. So it's really cool to see some of these things. And just something about the lights is very nice. It's kind of difficult when it's like 72 degrees, but either way, you enjoy what you can. But yeah. All right, so let's continue on our conversation. We were talking about teachers, educators, and the current state of education, and why we're so quick to put the blame on our teachers for a lot of, I don't want to say society's ills, but for a lot of problems that our children face today. And with a lot of things that are going on in education, we seem to point the finger at a lot of our teachers. And so we left off asking this question. We said, why do we see teachers as professionals who have poor quality, lack of training, laziness, and are greedy? And so we mentioned things like, I know I mentioned the fact that a lot of times when we say these things, we're talking about a very small percentage of teachers. For everything that I've seen, the majority of teachers that I have worked with, and I've worked at the same school for about 5 years, the teachers are working on, every teacher I've seen has worked on increasing their abilities. So becoming a more quality teacher. We have teachers who are constantly going out looking for training to deal with students with different issues. I have an issue with laziness for, for anyone outside of the normal school area to say that a teacher is lazy. I feel like in order to do the bare minimum requires a certain level of strength and gumption anyway, because you're going to be working so much outside of school hours anyway. And, being greedy as a teacher, I really have a hard time. Once again, I feel like that's a very small proportion. I'm reminded of that scene from The Hangover where Bradley Cooper was a teacher, and I believe there was a field trip or some event that the students needed to turn in money for. He took all of the money, put it in an envelope, and that's the money that he ended up using when they went out to Vegas for the bachelor party.
Yeah, for the bachelor party. Yeah, I remember that scene.
You're not going to see a lot of teachers
doing that. Yeah,
you're see a lot of teachers doing that. If anything, we had an issue like that. Well, we had some money last year, and we were trying to figure out what to do. Like, we don't know how the money came into our classroom. And me and my partner teacher just looking at each other, and it's like, well, pizza party. That money just goes for a pizza party. Kids are having a pizza party. That's what it is. Like, you put it back into the kids. It's almost like a reinvestment into the students. So,
now,
and that's usually
now, did y'all have the live pizza party where the kids got like a full slice, or did y'all quarter the slice or something?
You know what? I am triggered by those years. First of all, do you know how disrespectful it is to take an already medium-sized pizza?
I know.
And then, try to milk it? No, we made sure everyone got at least one slice. Good. And then you had the, and then you're gonna have the kids who come up and they got that plate, and it's just like, I see you have a couple of extra pieces there. Since everyone has eaten, in an act of goodwill, could I please have enough? So you got to do with that. But oh no, we make sure everyone at least gets one slice.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. It was so funny. We did a pizza party in the library one time for like, these were the behavior kids, right? That I was, and one of the kids was like, "This is the best thing in my life." I was like, "Dog, a slice of pizza?" And then, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, for a kid who ain't.
Hopefully it goes up from here, buddy, because if not, but anyway.
Like, if you think this is great, wait till you become an adult and you go to like really good pizza place.
Yeah, exactly. So get that Fuzzy's hookup. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, I'm like,
that Star,
are you familiar with Fuzzy's Star?
Yeah. So yeah, man. It's funny as you bring up the question about like teachers being professionals. Oftentimes, I think the view of school is to the community is that it's babysitting. You know what I'm saying? Hey, just watch my kids and then bring them back to me like later. Like the community, like parents don't even look at schools as, some parents, let me say, as places of education. So it's just like, hey, watch my kid until I get off from work, make sure they're healthy, and give them a snack. You know what I'm saying? And I think because parents look at it that way, it often degrades the teacher themselves. And then that's why it's easy to put blame on them. It's like you're the babysitter who is not, you're not fully mature or fully intelligent to, actually contribute something outside of just watching the kids. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of like the mindset, because when I in school suspension and behavior interventionist, that's often the perception. It was like, hey, for me, it was like, hey, this is a place of education. So I'm removing these kids from class, but you're still going to get educated. So you're not going to come sit in SAC or whatever and then do nothing, which the funny thing is, when those kids were removed because they were sitting isolated and they didn't have people to play with and mess with, they got more work done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which, and that's the thing about in-school suspension, depending on who you got in there, how passionate they are about education. I think that makes a difference as well. But Absolutely. Of course, kids being in the classroom is often the best place for them when they're in school. But continue, man. Continue.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful point, man, about sorry, I just blanked out.
No, it's no worries.
What was that first point?
In-school suspension.
In-school suspension, the parents. Kids, daycare.
Daycare.
Us being like a living day, like just overpriced daycare, basically, is
Mm.
is what I think a lot of parents see teaching as. And then you brought up another really good point. I feel like this also is a rather small percentage. I don't think we really talk about what the numbers say. And I think
Mm.
for what it's worth, if you look at the numbers, at the stats, you know, for what they are, and we can all paint a picture that we all agree, because we live in a world right now where you can take the same set of data and you can use that data for both sides of an argument
Ooh, talk
these days,
about it.
right?
Talk about it.
But I think at the end of the day, there are certain metric things that we can look at that will show certain things. So why is it that in the lower income areas, right? So essentially
Mm.
the kids that we are targeting at LYS, you tend to see more single parent homes, you tend to see more behavioral issues, you tend to see more abuse, all of these things that lead to issues in the classroom with retaining and learning to help them become useful, resourceful, beneficial members of society, right? And then I think about the huge immigrant population that we're having also.
Mm.
And so I think with a lot of the parents that I've had, they've had little to no education. So when you start looking at all of these different things, the coming into a culture, so not really understanding the culture, right? And this is also at a time where we're probably almost as divided as we have been since the late 60s, early 70s, somewhere around there,
Mm.
right?
Talk that talk.
Even though we try to paint this narrative of like this melting pot. Yeah, you have a melting pot, but it's still segregated in its melting pot.
Mm.
You can still be segregated in the melting pot. So, you know, part of the issue is like, how do we create these pathways to be able to open the doors and just connect more with our immigrant populations, our I can't remember the term, they call them LEP, but our lower income
Yeah.
populations, to be able to bridge that gap. In my mind, I just have this vision of telling them, you know, like I was in that situation, right?
Mm.
I had immigrant parents. I had to deal with a lot of those things, but my parents still made sure that certain things were expectations were met. Like my mom, I still remember 4th grade, Miss Gray, Shadow Oaks Elementary. We walked to school because my dad had the car, he had to go to work. We walked to school, had a parent teacher conference, and Miss Gray was ready.
Mm.
I was that kid.
Yeah.
And so she was talking to some parents. She seen me. She's like, give me 1 second. Oh, Mrs. Bodie, how are you? No, let's sit right here. She in the middle. And she was like, oh, Yinka has a lot of energy, but that boy crazy. Right. And so she just went in and I'm just sitting there like, and my mom just looking at me like, you about to get this work. You know what's up. And so my parents always did this thing at parent teacher conferences where they would say, is that true? I'm
Oh.
like, the woman said it. What do you want me to say? She's the authority figure. Of course it's true. Like,
Well, see, to
what are we
me,
doing?
I think it's a matter of perception. She's speaking her truth, and as a kid, no,
Right.
you know, man, bro. I think what you said is super powerful, and I think something that falls in line with what you're saying about
Mhm.
statistics is a lot of times statistics. Those who are from the academia look at statistics as like the holy grail, right? Statistics and data,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Data is the holy grail, which, don't get me wrong, data is important. But the thing that we tend to forget is data is a snapshot of a time period, and if there's flow. And so the thing is, what we don't really, and we're not able to calculate, and I don't think there's a way of calculating this, is we don't really see like those children who do graduate and then move on and do something great. And now there's an influx into the neighborhood of new people with new behaviors and stuff like that. Because oftentimes in these lower income communities, right, people are like, hey, I'm just trying to make it and I'm just trying to make a way out. And so oftentimes, hey, as soon as they quote unquote arrive, they move to the better district, right? Or those who can do move to the better district. And so the data constantly looks low when it's like somebody else moved into their apartment, you know what I'm saying? And now they're living in their apartment, more kids, and again, some of these different types of things that have not been taught. So it makes the school look constantly underperforming when the school is not actually constantly underperforming. They're actually doing their job of helping students matriculate through the academic system. Now, you see, that's a bar, right? And so I think the catch-22 to that is, how do we track these kids and how do we help these kids come back around who have made it out? Because this is the thing I believe. I believe a person cannot save themselves. And I know that's going to fly in the face of everybody and everything. I think we stand on the shoulders of giants. I think whether it's your parent that helped you, a teacher that helped you, a mentor that helped you, somebody helped you get to the next level, right? Absolutely. This whole self-made mentality, I don't think is true and accurate, right? I think, yeah, you have to take a certain level of responsibility, and you could say, hey, I took a certain level of responsibility in me matriculating out of this neighborhood or whatever, right? But the thing is, you didn't make it all 100% by yourself. Even me, I got $87,000 worth of grants and scholarships, right? That $87,000, it took politicians fighting for, veterans to have certain benefits, right? It took community leaders coming and giving donations and petitioning businesses for scholarships, right? It took other people doing things in order for me to be able to access those things. And I think that's the same thing that is true for just about everybody when you really, really look at it, right? People say, oh, I made it by myself. Even if you're a businessman and, you're doing $1 million a year, you have customers who chose to do business with you. Those customers helped you get to wherever you're at. So we could always come up with this way of like rugged individualism and I made it myself, this is the American way. But the truth of the matter is, it takes community, it takes people working with you, co-laboring with you to get to that next level. Now, I think, again, with schools in these lower economic community where teachers are getting the blame, and I think this is going to be a good way of segueing to HBCUs. Okay. Segueing to HBCUs and the Deion Sanders situation. I think this is a good illustration of something.
Gotcha. Yep.
But yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to quote something from someone that you put me on early on, Ravi Zacharias, and I just want to R.I.P. Ravi. He mentioned something that was when I heard it, it was like super powerful. But the way he broke it down, like it was perfect. Okay, because this is what I always talk about when we think about history. We have to understand our past to understand why we are where we are in our present. And if we understand the past and why we are in our present, it will help us so we don't make those same mistakes in the future, right? And that's literally history. People forget that we're living history, right? Mm-hmm, it's that thought of like whenever you see a picture of yourself, you're seeing history, right? Mm-hmm. So this is what he said. In the 1950s, kids lost their innocence. They were liberated from their parents by well-paying jobs, cars, and lyrics and music that gave rise to a new term, the generation gap. In the 1960s, kids lost their authority. It was the decade of protest. Church, state, and parents were all called into question and found wanting. Their authority was rejected, yet nothing ever replaced it. In the 1970s, kids lost their love. It was the decade of meism, dominated by the hyphenated words beginning with self, self-image, self-esteem, self-assertion. It made for a lonely world. Kids learned everything there was to know about sex and forgot everything there was to know about love. And no one had the nerve to tell them there was a difference. In the 1980s, kids lost their hope. Stripped of innocence, authority, and love, and plagued by the horror of a nuclear nightmare, large and growing numbers of this generation stopped believing in the future. In the 1990s, kids lost their power to reason. Less and less were taught the very basics of language, truth, and logic, and they grew up with the irrationality, of a postmodern world. In the new millennium, kids woke up and found out that somewhere in the midst of all this change, they had lost their imagination. violence and perversion entertained them till none could talk of killing innocents, since none was innocent anymore. And so that's essentially where we are right now. Right. And so it's just been this steady, slow, methodical. There you go. Right.
And I think the thing that is really powerful about that is those kids who lost those things became the teachers of the next generation.
Wow.
And that's something that we, again, like you said, we're living history, and so the fact that this teacher who lost their innocence is now teaching students who don't have innocence. You see what I'm saying? And then so it's a compounding effect to where I see this very often when a student is challenged in A-Leaf, for example, they just shut down, especially if it's a person who they don't know, don't have a relationship with, and you start asking them questions. Like, they could be relatively simple questions, and it could, instead of questions about their nature, it could be questions just about, even something simple as the weather. Why do you think the weather's like this? And then they'll just go straight quiet, as if you're not there. And it's like, wow, that's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, just want to give a quick shout out to my boy Daniel Hill, faithful, part of the Three Musketeers. We're missing a fourth with Jamark. He's probably out there giving a sermon to some children right there, changing the world. How you doing, Daniel?
Sure, I'm good now, man. That Advil changed my life.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got to go get some. See, hey, I was telling Festus about the foot. We've just been talking about the foot stuff.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, man. It's but what y'all boys just said, man, that's wild, man. I never thought about it. The people who are teaching these kids now are the ones that have no hope. That just is interesting, bro. That's just amazing, bro. And that's just life changing.
Man, it really is, because when you think about, we see it all the time, or we can understand it here because we're still in the classroom. Hopefully not for long if those cryptos and those stocks pay out for us. Sorry.
Okay, preach.
But we can, it's very easy to see how losing those are so, we forget how simple life is and how easy it is to just lose those very essential things that just make you a virtuous, good person, man. Different decades, losing your innocence. And I think about right now, that's what I always say about our kids. I'm like, they're losing their innocence. There's no reason why a fifth grader should be speaking, saying certain things or doing certain, I feel like in the fifth grade, they still have this level of imagination and they're losing it, right? So now they're losing their authority in the 60s. So parents are being called into question, found wanting. Their authority was rejected. So I think about that now. That's definitely still happening now. I still remember my first. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
I still remember powerful.
Okay. My first year of teaching, I had a student, really rude, disrespectful, and I'll never forget. He came to and parent-teacher conferences, I'm usually very calm. I let the parents say whatever needs to be said, because my thing is, it's a triangle. Yeah. Once the teacher and the parent are together, that kid's gonna be good. And that's what I always tell them. Once we're together, once the kid knows that me and you have a strong connection, kid's not gonna. It's very easy to make sure that kid's doing what they need to do. This boy, the mother was just going in and just telling everything that he was doing, and I've never seen this. He kept going, man, when he was doing that to his mom. Now, I'm usually calm, but at that time, I did a couple of things out of character. I stood up, I pushed my chair in. I was like, don't you ever. I went African low key. All right, I actually high key. I was like, to your mother.
I think that is actually 100% within. I think you tone it down for the sake of everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Most def. I was like, essentially, to your mother. Like I went high. I went high with it because I was just like in such shock that a young boy could do that to his mother.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many people don't have their mother and you're just disregarding her, right? And so you want to get mad at the kid, but at the same time, we have to, I always try to understand like what's going on to make him do that, right? And so you think about that, right? Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay once again. You know, these days, many families are busy, but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast. 70s, they're losing their love. So now they, you know, and then, man, this is powerful, man, because the kids are going through all this right now.
And see,
Go ahead.
the thing I was gonna jump on that is so significant about what you're saying is that if a person does not come back who has these things and is able to role model and display these things, then it is totally lost on a community. And so I was talking to Whitney, shout out to Whitney. They're probably going to put our app in the schools and also probably mentoring because they're going to a 4-day school week.
I'm gonna turn on my 2-week notice.
No, not just yet. We gotta see what that check.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But anyway, so the thing is, she said something so significant because this is a kind of rural school district, and she was like, "Oh, you know, the teachers will say to the kids like, hey, you know, you're just going to, you know, you're kind of like you're not going to be anything in life." But then she said one of the biggest things she heard, a parent-teacher conference happened, and the kids said they wanted to be a park ranger, right? And I was like, where they are located, they're located North Houston, they actually need park rangers, right? And I'm like, this kid is in line with reality. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, if, you know, I really don't like the whole, I'm gonna make it to the NBA, NFL thing. Not necessarily because I don't think kids are gonna make it. I think we need to have reasonable, actionable career choices that we can get after and like, get it done.
Bro, just go ahead and give him that Dr. Jawanta Kunjufu, bro.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? We got 14% of the population applying for 4% of the position. But anyway, so the thing that was interesting, the mom told the kid the highest thing you should aspire to is to go to jail. And so it was like one of these things where it's like, if your teachers are saying that and your parents are saying that, what is the likelihood that this is going to be, you know, your outcome? It goes extremely likely. Like you said, it's that triangle, right? Parent, teacher, student. And so the thing is, a lot of these kids need the intervention. And so I hope you don't mind. I want to pivot to Dion for a little bit. You see what I did there?
No, bet. I was waiting for you to come back.
You see what I did there? Pivot to Dion, you know, because he pivot, you know. But anyway, so but no, real talk, because I think when you talk about HBCUs, when you talk about, because HBCUs are really important and critical, and a lot of people don't understand how critical HBCUs are to higher education. Not necessarily because they have a low bar regarding higher education, but the thing is, they have a culture that students are able to come in and matriculate into that has a family atmosphere. Most HBCUs are actually very, very small, aside from, you know, like Southern, Texas Southern, Howard. There's a few of them that are on the larger end, but most of them, they're a little bit larger than community colleges in most situations. And so the thing is, that kind of small homely environment helps to foster these students into feeling like they belong so that they can get the education, right? Now, this is the part that is hard. When you go to a Michigan, who is a research institution, they're producing dentists, they're producing, you know, other professionals, and they have the resources that come along with that, right? Research institutions tend to get the bulk of financing. Why is that? I'll go into it just a little bit, is because on top of money is being paid from tuition, they tend to get grants on top of endowment from alumni. So you basically have two additional streams of income to that institution. So for example, if you look at a Stanford, if you look at a Harvard, because they're research institutions, people say, hey, I need this research done. Here goes $100 million to get this research done, right? And so they get that money on top of tuition money. And then you have certain alumni who are associated with the university. And because of the alumni hookup, hey, come meet at alumni events. We got a business deal going. Okay, cool. Let's give 5% back to the university, 2% back to you, whatever. That helps to build out the university funds, right? And so the thing is, that means better equipment, better classrooms, so on and so forth, right? Whereas you got some of these HBCUs, which a lot of people don't know with the history of HBCUs. The first HBCUs, Tuskegee, was actually considered more of an elementary school for people who are just coming out of slavery. Because you have to remember, these were formed during Jim Crow for the purpose of educating Black people separate from white people. They weren't formed like, oh, we're going to put these magnificent institutions up. It was like, no, excuse my language, we need to keep them niggas over there. Okay. And so, it just is what it is. And so because of that, it was like, give them the least that they can have to survive with. And so when you look at the people who put together HBCUs, right, it was those people who had means coming out of the community. And so, and I'm leading to somewhere with this, right? And so you had the Thurgood Marshalls and what they're doing with the Negro College Fund and different types of things like that, where they said, hey, look, I made it somewhere, let me give back. And now you have a guy like Deion Sanders who made it to the pinnacle of sports, right? And a lot of people, they're talking about athletes and celebrities and what they should be doing for the communities because they're coming out of these communities, right? When you look at like where we're from A-Leaf, you got Lizzo, you got Toby, you got, what was her name? Tila Tequila, you got a whole, I mean, you could do a laundry list. I mean, technically you got Beyonce or whatever. And so you could do a laundry list, go look up Elsick, go look up Hastings and who came from these schools. You got Tony Hills won a Super Bowl. P.J. Daniels made it to the NFL. You got a lot of people who've done really well for themselves from these schools. And it's like, okay, well, where are these people now? Are they giving back? How much are they giving back? And, I think Olay was bringing up a good point. We were having like our pregame conversation here is giving back to a point where it's detrimental to you. And, right now, Deion Sanders is the kind of in the limelight on the internets for not, quote unquote, not giving back or not pouring into these communities. And so, Olay, definitely want to hear your thoughts. Daniel, want to hear your thoughts as well on just that whole pipeline and developing that pipeline of people who give back and who can absorb some of this blame from the educators.
Oh man, that was a good one, man. I like what you said. I guess the thing that got Deion the most is because he talked so big about it for like 2 months and now he gone. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. You can't talk big about something because he was only there for what? He been there how long?
This is the third year.
Third year, and he was talking so big about making the change now, and then next thing you know, he was gone. Like he came up so strong, right? And that's the problem. But he did tell people. I remember saying, he said, if some school that offer me a bigger thing, I would have to think about it because of who I am, whatever. But at the same time, you also have to think about, I mean, we should always give back, but you also got to think about, is the where you're giving back to actually going to do good with the money? That's the problem because the people in charge, like, we can get back to A-Leaf, but are they going to do right with the money? Is that school going to do right? Because, I mean, it's all about who's in charge and who you actually giving back to. So I know it's two different times. It's kind of weird to say it, but then at the same time, is the school going to act right? Or is the district going to act right? Because you know how, the stuff y'all do. Y'all try to give back to people in your own area, and don't none of them want it. Don't nobody want to hear it. But then when other people hear about it, they're like, oh, yeah, man, this is great information. Who is LYS? Who is this? Who is that? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of be like, you want to give back, but the thing is, will they accept the shoe?
Hey LYS fam, it's Olay. Thanks so much for listening to LYS. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to the parents. That's right, mom and dad. Parents, prepare your child for their best educational fit after high school with our comprehensive LYS Parents Guidebook. Our helpful guide includes a range of activities designed to help you better understand your child's unique gifts and abilities. Additionally, we provide valuable insights into the student loan debt crisis and offer practical tips on how to avoid accumulating large amounts of debt. Our ebook also includes a wealth of information on scholarships, grants, and payment exemptions that can help guide your child towards a bright and successful future. With our expert guidance, you can rest assured that your child is well prepared to make informed decisions about their education and career path. Don't let your child's future be in jeopardy. Invest in their future today by downloading the LYS Parents Guidebook. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to the show because you know it's some good topics.
As a matter of fact, we can treat it like the Bible. What did Jesus say? Even in his own town is the place where his own prophet is not respected. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be watching that or something like that. Can how it's that go. So sometimes people want to get back, but then they get so frustrated, trying to get back, and the people don't accept it. So I don't know, man. It's kind of iffy both ways.
I think you brought up some really, really good points. Olay?
Let's think about this from the perspective of be no do. Let's bring this back to LYS, right? So if you look at the be and be no do, we talk about what are your values, what are your principles. I think right now we're dealing with the situation where as a culture, we're lacking in a lot of those values and those principles. And I think a lot of that had to do with, well, let me not say a lot of that. I think partially that had some of the things to do with why Dion probably left. I think he kind of saw, because it's very easy for us to be here and be like, you know, we were talking about the Umar Johnson interview on Breakfast Club where he was like, you know, going at Dion for leaving. And it's like, you know, it's very easy for us to go, yeah, man, why did he have to go? Why did he have to go? But, you know, we really have to sit down and look and see what's going on. If you look at, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, in a lot of HBCUs, there's a lot of financial impropriety that goes on. There's a lot of, you know, and this happens everywhere. But when you are already receiving less than the, you know, average, right? Those improprieties are kind of magnified, right? Because you're already starting at a disadvantage. And then it's like on top of that, you're still going to be taking from that. And so I think the issue that I've seen a lot of Black people in the culture have for a long time is you have people who are trying to go about things the right way, but as a consistent whole, we lack certain values and principles. We're not on the same page, right? And that kind of leads to, it leads to a lot of conflict. I think it leads to a lot of conflict. So I think he definitely set a blueprint. And you really got to watch the interview because it was funny. Because I'm not the, let me not go into
fan
all
of
that,
Charlemagne.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but, I listen. I'm not a fan of Charlemagne. I can admit he's grown though, because when he was first on air, I was like, bro, this dude, he is the epitome of why we can't have nice things.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But he's mature. No, continue, please.
You know, he said, yeah, but he set up a blueprint. He set up a blueprint, and Dr. Umar, he did say something that was kind of funny that I liked. He was like, "Oh, so Harriet Tubman, if she would have just said, you know, just came and started, she would have, this is the blueprint. Y'all can figure it out now." You know what I mean? And then he gave another, I think Dr. King maybe. You know, he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna set up a blueprint. Y'all can go and do it out now." You know what I mean? It's hard, man, because you know we talk about this a lot, right? At the end of the day, making sure you're okay. Because we've seen it happen to so many people. A couple weeks ago, we kind of talked about Big Mama, right? And we always talked about how Big Mama was such a prominent member or the matriarch, right? So such the head of the family. And we were like, what happened to Big Papa? What happened to, you know, to Big Dad? And it was like, Big Dad worked himself to death.
Yeah.
He worked himself to death. And it's like, okay, where are our values and our principles? And so, and I don't want to take it there, but just I guess I'll
Take it
just
there,
plant
bro.
the seed.
Take it there.
Well, I'm just, a lot of this has to do with some of the Kanye, some of the Kyrie stuff that's been going on.
Ooh.
Where you have these different circles, right, of people that are, speaking on it, but we don't have one collective voice. And I think, I think that was done purposely. I think that, a lot of these things are planned. Narratives are created to change the way we think. There's so many systems to this world where you can take a little spliffit, and I understand it now. You can take a little spliffit of someone says, and you can create this entire new thing, just based off of that. And it kind of goes back to what I said. What are those values and those principles that we all have, that are going to help us lead us towards success? And what does success even look like for us? And so at the end of the day, I don't blame Deion. I'm not mad at Deion. Deion is Deion. Who am I to get mad at him? I think what he did was amazing. I think he definitely, if you look at the graph of the, of HBCUs, he's an obvious bookmark, maybe one of the biggest, probably since its inception, right? Since it was started, as far as from an athletic standpoint.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm gonna say this last thing before I shut up. Umar did bring up like a really good point, and this is what I kind of thought was going to happen, where you had Travis Hunter, who was a 5-star recruit, come into Jackson State. Dude played both sides of the ball.
Oh yeah, and was balling out. Yeah.
So what I thought was going to happen was kind of like what they talked about on the interview, the Breakfast Club interview. You had Deion Sanders at Jackson State. You had Eddie George at Tennessee State. I think that's Daniel's alma mater, right, Daniel?
Yes, sir. Preach.
Okay, so you had Eddie George over there. I think you had, and correct me if I'm wrong, these guys were bringing in NFL level coaches. So I think Hugh Jackson was associated with them. Hugh Jackson, former coach of the Bengals, Raiders. He's been in the NFL for a long time. A lot of NFL coaches and personnel were coming to these places. And so what I thought was going to happen was with the TV deal, right? And a lot of these games, NFL game, ESPN, a college football game day went to Jackson State for the first time. You know what I mean?
I think it was the second time.
Oh, sorry. Second. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was the second time of them going to a HBCU.
Yeah.
But it was their first time at Jackson State.
Okay. And so you had all these things. I thought there was going to be a shift where more of these 5-star recruits would start to come. Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. Just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that even though the cost of college can be daunting, the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook can assist you in realizing your dreams. You can identify and apply for scholarships using the information, advice, and resources in our comprehensive guide. Also, we've provided a template for a successful scholarship essay to help you stand out from the crowd. Don't allow student loan debt to control you. Get your copy of the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook right away to take charge of your destiny. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to that fire conversation. And it goes back to, and this is the last thing I want to say. Remember, it's a 1-hour flight from Egypt to walk from Egypt to Israel. But it's definitely less than 40 years. Right. And it's a
2-day walk.
2-day walk. Okay.
Yeah. If you were to actually walk it, it's technically a 2-day walk.
2-day walk. But remember, that was the promised land, and it took them 40 years because of the division, because of the, essentially you want to look, that's the B part of be no do. What are your values and your principles? Right. And so I'm landed on it.
I'm gonna share something real quick. Hopefully my internet's over here tripping on me, but I'm gonna share something real quick. And I just looked it up, right? It's Deion Sanders' 1-year effect on HBCUs, right? And so this article is sportsillustrated.com. Here's his first year. So this is an article from 2021. He signed the recruiting class. He generated $185 million in advertising and exposure to Jackson State. Jackson State is the #2 HBCU for their social media presence. He secured custom suits for the football team, right? And the help of former TSU alumni. And so, again, Michael Strahan went to TSU, and he was also a Hall of Famer. He was instrumental in a historic name, image, and likeness deal. I think it was 1 or 2 players landed $1 million deals while he was there. And then he increased the visibility of the school. Now, this is an article, again, from 2021, right? It doesn't even go to the rest of his impact. And then the things he did regarding like, you know, giving up half of his salary and mowing the grass himself and in the locker room and all those different types of things.
The Walmart deal, the Under Armour deal, all those different types of things. And so this is the trouble that I think a lot of people face when it comes to, and in this case, I would say this is a case of blaming the teacher. Deion Sanders came in his first 2 years, and he came back and he showed passion, he showed love, he showed imagination, he showed grittiness, he demonstrated what is possible. And he did that for 2 years at personal loss, right? And now everybody's frustrated and mad at him for coming back and making the school undefeated. This is the thing I've learned about people who know about winning. You leave when you're on top, because if you don't leave when you're on top, people remember, oh yeah, you know, he had a couple good seasons, but then after that, you know, he went downhill, he was trash, whatever. And you also have to keep this in mind for him. I know he has some personal things he's trying to win, but this is, if you read the LYS book, we talk about cooperative relationships. This is a job, okay? This is a job for him. It's a cooperative relationship. I'm helping you get to here, you're helping me get to here. And the thing is, right now, when we're talking about people who are quiet quitting and all of those other things, he didn't quietly quit. He said, you know what, if somebody come over here with a good offer, okay, I'm gonna entertain that offer. And you know, and again, I'm not trying to just be a full out advocate for him, primarily for being an advocate for his sake. But I think it's the same thing as trying to blame the teacher for saying, I'm going to go to that private school because the students are better behaved and the teachers care more. I'm going to move to this other district because I was teacher of the year here 2 years straight. And what they did was they gave me a $10 Starbucks gift card. Okay. And so we don't think about this. Appreciate me.
Ooh. Exactly. We don't think about this at scale, right? We think about it. We don't look at it as percentages. We look at it as hard numbers. Deion said he was going to come do this. He didn't say he was going to come give you 10 years of his life, right? So if somebody comes in, a teacher comes in, they get teacher of the year, they're like, yo, I left from the neighborhood, I came back, I impacted these lives. I impacted 50, 60 lives, 70 lives, you know, because it's usually about 50 students on a football team, right? Maybe a little bit more. I came back, I impacted their lives. And on top of that, he did prepare the coach he wanted to come in next. He didn't have the hiring ability, but he said, listen, my current assistant coach, I want him to stay here, and I've done everything for him to stay here. A lot of people don't look at it as, I think it was 2 or 3 games before this championship game that they won. They stole Deion's wallet and credit cards out of the locker room. So the thing is, while he's going out and making the school bigger, bringing in $185 million, they couldn't even put one security guard at his office to say, who are you to go in this office? Nah, this is Brian's office. And so this is the thing where, again, we're going to keep losing good educators, okay? We're going to keep losing. I mean, this is the thing. Some people, you got to really know what it is, where you got to cherish that person and the time that they're spending. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to take it to ministry for a little bit, and then I'll shut up, right?
Hey, no, I'll take you there. Take us there, sir.
Keep going, bro.
No, I'm just saying, like a lot of times having these good quality mentors and role models in the community who are preachers, who are pastors, who are imams, who are rabbis and different kind of things like that. We kind of have this expectation that they should take a vow of poverty to help everybody else in an impoverished area. And oftentimes it's not possible because the people do need resources. And so when somebody goes and gets their resources that they've worked hard at and established, Deion almost lost his leg. This season, the dude was in a wheelchair on the sidelines. Nobody's saying like, oh, he was still coaching. He could have just been like, you know what, I'm gonna sit at home. Nobody says, you remember when Deion was in an electric wheelchair on the sideline?
Did you see his foot? Did you see his leg?
Yes.
The grafts that they had to do?
Yes. Nobody's going to that, right? Again, this is where we abuse the educators and then try to blame them, right? For them saying, you know, I want something better. I didn't go get a master's degree and a PhD for this. This we need to stop. We need to stop. And that goes from everybody in the community, from the parents to the administration. We just, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who even keep quiet in this kind of period of suffering where they're just saying like, you know what, I'm not gonna say nothing about it, but I'm gonna get it sacrifice.
I don't want to cut you off, but you know what they say? I got 3 more years before I retire. I got 2 more years before I retire. I'm just here. That's what they say.
Exactly. And this is what challenges a lot of educators regarding staying and sticking with and in the communities that they're coming from. Because again, how long should they go through suffering, right? When does the community take personal responsibility or collective responsibility, right? We want to collectively hold Deion Sanders accountable, but how many people sent cards? How many people wrote him and thanked him for going back to the sideline when he could have lost his leg? Nobody was saying, I mean, and I'm not gonna say nobody, because some people did obviously show some appreciation and love, but the amount of criticism he's receiving now, I did not see that when he was on the sideline, getting ready to lose his leg in a wheelchair. Like a lot of people don't realize, Deion's 50 years old. Well, 55, something in that range. A lot of people, and this is the thing, people still don't even look at what he did when he had his prime school that got closed down, where he opened up a private school to do these things. And don't get me wrong, yes, he's building legacy. He probably went to Colorado to make sure his son and Hunter get a shot at the NFL. That's probably what he did, because he took about 10 students with him, right? But the thing is, again, these educators who are giving their life, their soul, their body, they're putting it all on the line. We got to give them more respect and the flowers that they deserve. He won y'all a national championship. What more could he do? What if somebody says, you know what, I'm taking you from losing and nobody even saying and knowing your name to you being the #1 school in HBCUs in terms of college athletics, and I'm gonna do it in 2 to 3 years. And what do I get for that? I get to get out of here. Them cussing me out in the stadium. I get the coach cussing me out in the stadium, talking about some he ain't swag. Don't want to shake my hand because you lost to me. Where's the sportsmanship?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, soapbox moment done.
Beautiful.
Definitely love being here for you guys to hear. We need your support. So Olay's going to give you all some information on how you guys can contact us. And again, if anybody has some last minute things, go ahead and please say it. Daniel, if you want to throw something in as well.
First of all, boy, you shut that thing down, man. You preach all the way, man. Reverend Festus over here, y'all. I'm telling you.
Hey, wow.
I'm sorry, Bishop Festus.
And a twin. Put it in a plate.
Oh man, but no, I was just thinking about some of y'all stuff y'all said, man. Even like, well, earlier y'all said something about, what do you say? Like us. Well, it was something that made me think about this girl. Like me, I watch everything, right? So good or bad, crazy people, non-crazy people. You know what I'm saying? I want to see why people are crazy. And I remember just understanding like our values or something y'all talking about. Yeah, it's like values, like how we lose our values. Person, I think her name is Candace Owens. You know, she says crazy things all the time, right?
Oh yeah, Candace Owens.
But something she said one time, bro. I can't remember which one y'all said about values. But she said, "What happened to black TV, bro? What happened to the father in the house? What happened to like TJ? What happened to all these families were doing good? All we have is love and hip hop, bro." And that's our mindset. Our mindset is not about doing better. It's about just I can't, man. It's just like we have to take, like, how you say it? We have to
Ownership.
stand up. Yeah, honestly, we got to stand up and say something, bro. And like you said, these people are clowning him, and nobody was helping him, bro. They really think that he was supposed to give everything and not get no help. Just like they think people always wanted to tip somebody, always want to tip, do this, do that. Everybody want to tip. Give me a tip for this. Like I'm just saying, people who like their job is, tip this. You know what I'm saying? I need an extra tip. I need a tip. But we teach your kid every day and keep him from hurting himself and help himself, make sure you have friends and go all over the thing, right? And all y'all want to give me is a $10 gift card. What you said, you know what I'm saying? Like, where y'all values at? So y'all want value just to stand there and take an order, which that's your job. But my job is to teach, you know what I'm saying? But y'all don't want to give me any extra, which I mean, I'm cool. Don't give me nothing, but don't act like what we not doing is matter. And why the people leaving, like, shoot, what you said is actually made me want to leave today. Shoot.
Hey, don't quit. Don't quit your job and say Festus. I heard Festus say so.
I'm like, hey, look. I'm like, the Lord told me through Festus. But she was talking about how much she loves her job being somewhere else, bro. And I was just like, has she left one school? She said, asked her about her other school. She said, well, it was so funny. I asked her about her school. I said, asked her how your school was. She said, I left, she left, and she didn't even accept it. I was like, well, that's a sign right there. But her new school, she loves it, bro. And that's the sign. And it's an area that doesn't have, it's mixed, but it has people who want to do better. So I ain't mad at Dion, bro. Dion he got robbed, bro. That's crazy. He got robbed. He did all this, and nobody said nothing. But when it's time for him to go, everybody will open their mouths, bro. It's just values. People got bad values, bro.
Agree. Absolutely. I have just one couple quick things I wanted to say real quick because Festus was going and I was taking notes. We've all read leadership books. I think the best book that I've ever been given to on leadership is a book by John Maxwell that Festus recommended, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And when I think about all the things that Dion has done as you were talking about those things, I'm like just literally checking off those different, the rule of navigation, the rule of where you talked about he was already preparing the next in line, this idea of leaving when you're on top. So my thought was just think about how responsible that was. He did not leave them in a bad state. It's almost like, what do they call it? Lock and key operation. The next person, all they got to do is turn the key and just continue on with what he did. Yeah. And then I even think about that with some of the kids I teach. I teach bilingual, so I teach all Hispanic kids. And I could be wrong. It could just be a feeling, but I've learned to trust my gut. I kind of feel like some of the teachers are like, oh, you're teaching all these Hispanic kids, but all these Black kids here need this help. You know what I mean? And so in my mind, it's like, shoot, they need help too. And in my mind as a teacher, I'm thinking long-term. I'm thinking I get a chance to learn how to deal with students who are learning a new language. So now I'm challenging myself on how to teach these types of students. So I'm trying to put stuff in my tool bag so I can be a better teacher. And it goes back to what we were talking to in the first place. You say you're a teacher of low quality. I'm literally challenging myself so I can learn how to do this. But we tend to not think about these things. And it kind of goes to what we said about Dion. We're so quick to be like, oh, you could do this. Why are you leaving? It's like, my God, like, what more do you want from me?
They want the leg. That's it.
They want
the leg. Yes.
But, and this is the last point I had to say, I still believe the best teachers are not in the classroom.
Ooh,
the best teachers you have ever seen are no longer in the classroom. Do you know why? The spirit is too big. Their passion is too strong. They cannot sit there and just have this thing that's so on their soul, on their spirit, get diluted and get wasted in this ultra toxic environment. They're too honest. They're too real. There's something special about a teacher who just, it's so hard to describe how when you have that teacher who just, they just kind of have that natural ability with kids. and they can just look at them a certain type of way or say a certain type of thing, and they just have this unique thing about them. It can't be measured. It can't be measured. You can't measure it with the stats. It's immeasurable. You know, it's the it factor. Let's just call it the it factor. There are so many teachers out here that are doing corporate jobs, enjoying themselves, but they still got the itch, but they can't go back in that toxic environment. They can't go back in that toxic environment. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're not appreciated, and it's a very toxic environment. So we're going to end on that note. Man, dog, do they have like a podcast award or something, or like
so
someone got to nominate us for your consideration, bro? We do over here just dropping bombs.
So yeah, we definitely gonna talk about that, Olay. If I could get a couple minutes after we're done here.
Oh, you trying to get a Grammy?
Now I'm gonna just give you a quick call and
okay. Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I got some suits ready. You know what I'm saying? I got some suits. Blue roll. All right. You know what I mean? No, that's all good. For sure.
So yeah,
all right,
close us out.
Hold on a second. Let me get this up here so we can talk about closing out and how you can get in contact with us here at Laddering Your Success. Let's go all the way to the back. Sorry, give me 1 second. There we go. On Instagram, LYS Students, _LYS. That's to get in contact with us. Follow us on Instagram. Send us messages on Instagram if you love what we're doing there. On Facebook, just type in Laddering Your Success into that search bar. Get access to these LYS free student mentoring sessions every Sunday and more of our wonderful content. Speaking of which, man, we're gonna be batching some stuff, some really good stuff here, because I got a system that works. We batch like 10 of these videos that we do, either for the LYS app or things that we want the students to know about, the parents to know about, the teachers to know about. So look out for that. On YouTube, Laddering Your Success, just type that into the search bar. Man, Festus has helped people get close to $500,000 worth of scholarships, grants, and financial aid. He was also able to get himself close to 90,000. That's around 87,500. Do I have that number right, Festus?
Correct.
About $87,500 in scholarships and financial aid grants when he was going to a private university. Houston Christian University recently changed their name down there on Fondren, right? In Houston, Texas. On TikTok, LYS Be No Do. Type that into the search bar. Get access to more of our videos and more of our content there. If you need us for your youth group, church group, school, if you would like for us to come and talk, if you have questions about the app, info@ladderingyoursuccess.com is our email. Send us an email there. On Discord, Laddering Your Success. I'm looking on this now. Can't wait for what we have set up in the future for our young people. We got so much fun stuff going on. We are in the process of getting our first group of students to just start running with LYS, start running with Laddering Your Success. We're going to get this going. So super excited about that. And of course, we need funding. We've got advertising, we've got marketing, we've got things that we do when we go out. Pretty soon we're going to be going out and going to different places and taking this thing on the tour, on the road, if you will. So we're going to need funding for that. So if you love what we're doing, if you see the passion, if you see the love, $ Laddering Your Success on Cash App, be sure to send us something on that platform. We would totally appreciate it. All right. So for my good friends, Daniel Hill, for Festus and Olay, my name is Olay Sharonki. Folks, there are legitimate reasons to not going to college. There are no legitimate reasons to not getting an education. Remember, that is a lifelong process. Don't you forget it. Thank you for joining us for another free session of LYS Student Mentoring. We will see you next week, which is the 18th. Y'all be blessed and see you soon. Oh, you still there? Well, thank you so much for listening to the LYS Podcast.